European colonialism has been one of the greatest forces for good the world has ever seen. Billions of people today are living better lives than they would have lived had Europeans not colonized the globe.
Shalom. All praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High, Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Ba'asham Rakakwadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of the Great Millstone, and salutations to all you sincere Akiam. And this is your brother Abawan back again with another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Ba'asham Rakakwadash. All praises and glory is due. And the individual you see before you is Matt Walsh, okay, which is a YouTuber here on this same app, going into more right-wing US politics, okay. And in this video, and this is the video that brothers have been doing responses to, okay, going into the things that he has been saying concerning quote unquote European empire and European culture and European colonization, and basically replace European with Edomites or Esau Edom, because that is who he is really talking about. Because if you go to the etymology of the word European, you go to the origin of the word European, it's based off a goddess Europa, which is of course a so-called black woman, right? But when Matt Walsh using is European, he's not talking about the original inhabitants of Europe, which is of course Japhet, right? Or the progenitors, or rather the people, or rather the founders of the major European countries, Britain, Germany, Russia, France, which are Jake. But rather he's talking about the current inhabitants of Europe, which are of course Esau Edom. So when he's talking about European culture, he's talking about Edomite culture, okay? And basically what he said here is that European culture was great for the earth. And of course I'm going to respond to that, right? Because I was watching this video, and basically, you had the elder Manatazakba, okay, the elder Yashawamba also doing videos responding to Matt Walsh, and I'll also be doing a video as well, because everything you see him say in this video, every accusation of mainly Jake in the Southern Kingdom concerning the lands that Europe conquered, oh, they were savages, oh, they were pagans and were sacrificing performing human sacrifices, oh, the Europeans came and civilized them. Every accusation that he made was a projection, because guess what? Esau Edom, while they were in Europe, were doing the exact same thing before the Moors came and civilized them, right? So let's get that. Let's start from the book of Maccabees. Because the first thing he said, which is the first, wrong thing that he said, the first lie that he stated. So this is the book of First Maccabees 1, and I'll jump to verse 7. First Maccabees 1 verse 7. Let me reduce the volume of this app just in case. And the volume is not showing. Yeah, here it is. Because sometimes this audio will be playing while I'm not paying attention. Now, First Maccabees 1 verse 7. So Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule, everyone in his place. And this is of course speaking of Alexander the Greek. But the main point is in First Maccabees 1 verse 9. And after his death they all put crowns upon themselves. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. Right. As soon as Esau Edom came into power, evils are multiplied on the earth. And of course you know that Esau Edom is the so-called white man, the so-called red man that is ruling over the earth today. So we see the scriptures with a different narrative of history than anything that Matt Walsh has to say. And if you ask Matt Walsh, he will tell you that, oh well, the height of civilization was obviously Greece and Rome. But yet we see in the scriptures that Greece and Rome is actually when evils began to multiply on the earth. So all the evil and the wickedness and the situation of the earth that you see today can be traced back to the Greco-Roman Empire, right? Which is why we constantly say that we are in the revised Roman Empire. Proverbs 29 verse 2. When the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. And right now we are under the rulership of the wicked, which is of course the so-called white man, Esau, Edom. Right. So the next precept I want to bring out, as it is written, the wicked, which of course I've already established that the wicked is referring to Esau, Edom, the so-called white man that is ruling on the earth. And as it is written, so this is the book of Psalms 58 verse 3. The wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as soon as they be born, speaking lies. Okay. And now we're about to go back to the video and we'll hear more lies, more of the lies of Matt Walsh. And without further ado, let's play that.
Colonizers spread civilization, they spread the gospel, they spread innovation, they spread.
And now we are seeing more of the lies of Matt Walsh. He claims that the colonizers, right, the Spanish, the English, the French, the Portuguese, the Belgians, the Germans, right, all these different Edomite nations that, you know, went to different parts of the world, colonizing and conquering and enslaving the inhabitants in those parts of the world, especially Israelites, okay, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the scattered Israelites that were scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. And let me just go back. He said they spread civilization, right? Let's get that.
Better lives than they would have lived had Europeans not colonized the globe. The colonizers spread civilization, they spread the gospel, they spread innovation, they spread important ideas.
And he claims that, you know, these colonizers, they spread all this innovation and so on and so forth, which is actually false. Because if you actually know about the history and the details of colonization, you understand that the only thing that colonizers did was rape, rob, and murder. Okay, like the Elder Malcolm always says, and that's the legacy of Esau on the earth, and the legacy of these colonizers. They are, you know, basically rape, robbery, and murder, which is why the scriptures say that the devil cometh and does nothing but to steal and to kill and to destroy. And let's get that. That's exactly what Esau has done. That's your rape, robbery, and murder. Steal, kill, and destroy. Here it is. So this is the book of John 10 verse 10. The thief cometh not, but for to steal, and to kill, and to destroy. I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. Right? And this is, you know, basically just me pivoting a little bit just to speak on this truth and this gospel. And we have life because of this truth. We have, you know, innovation. We have a future because of this truth, rather than anything that Esau, Edom is pushing. Okay, because what these devils spread was rape, robbery, and murder, disease, death, and destruction. Okay, because if you actually go into the history of colonization, you find out that even the little infrastructure, right, the infrastructure, whether it's the roads or the buildings or the railways and so on and so forth that were built in these various regions that were colonized, they were ultimately built in order to make it easier to transport the resources from the colonized countries, like say here in Nigeria. A lot of the railways that we have here in Nigeria from during colonization, right, the buildings as well, they were all just set up just to transport resources from the mines, the quarries, right, the oil fields to ships, to the port, in order to ship them straight to the UK, right, straight to wherever else they needed to go. These people, right, Esau did not build anything in any country that he colonized. This is of course one of the lies that Esau pushes, similar to, if you know about I believe it was Rudyard Kipling. Okay, and one of these is one of these Western philosophers, and he made this poem called The White Man's Burden. And that's what a lot of these Edomites are running around claiming that, oh, this is what, you know, this is what we Edomites have done for the people of this world, that we have tried to improve them and their condition and give them civilization and all those other lies that they push. So yeah, they didn't really build or create or improve the lives of anywhere they colonized. All they did was rape, rob, murder, and of course steal. That's why if you go to the British Museum, that's why if you go to the French, the Louvre in the French, or the French Museum, that's why if you go to the museum in Germany, that's why if you go to any that's why if you go to any of these European countries, all you will see is the wealth, right, that they stole from these nations that they conquered, especially you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the scattered Israelites that are scattered around the four corners of the earth. They go to the you go to these nations and you see the wealth, right, that they stole from you Israelites and used to enrich themselves all over their lands, right? You go to somewhere like Spain and Portugal, you see the castles, right, that the Moors built for they were in Spain, that were ultimately taken over by Esau, and then Esau starts claiming that, oh, they are the ones that built all of that, which of course, is all part of the lies and the deceit of Esau Edom. That's why the scriptures say the wicked are estranged from the womb, right? They go astray as soon as they are born, speaking lies, and everything that mouthwash is saying, right? I haven't gotten to the projection part here, right here, yet. What we are dealing with right now is the lying part. So basically, everything that he has said so far is just simply untrue, right? It's a big ass lie, and what else do we expect from Esau Edom than making big ass lies? So let's keep playing. Hold on. Yeah, it is. Hold on. Let me raise up the volume a little bit.
Than they would have lived had Europeans not colonized the globe. The colonizers spread civilization, they spread the gospel, they spread innovation, they spread important ideas, such as the idea that you shouldn't murder your children to appease the sun god, that you shouldn't eat your enemies to absorb their life force. Did the colonizers also spread dairy products? I don't know, but I'm happy to add that to the list of triumphs. Is our civilization one that we should be proud of, even in spite of its history of conquest? No. Not in spite of that history. I'm proud of it in large part because of that history.
And I can't find the original video that this was taken from, so I'm just going to ultimately just clip the elders videos and just use that in response. So basically this is where the projection begins, because first he said that, oh well, the Europeans, right, which of course are the Edomites, taught the natives of the lands that they colonized, they basically raped, robbed, and murdered. And I'm just wondering, how they managed to find the time to teach them not to do all these things, in between all the death and destruction and all the death and destruction that they were causing. Because you go to places like South America, I believe one of the major cities that were in South America during that time was called like Tecololo. I've forgotten how the name goes, but basically it's the Aztec city, okay, that Esau completely destroyed and took all those Aztecs into captivity. And the main reason why Esau was able to destroy Jake in the Northern Kingdom, right, that's easily, right, the Spanish, is because of disease, okay, because the Spanish and the conquistadors were so filthy that they brought diseases that the Northern Kingdom, right, the Aztecs, had never been exposed to, and that's was what made it so easy to wipe them out, right? So let's continue playing the video. And here Mouthwash is going to gush about how, being a Edomite and conquering the whole earth, okay, even though there is nothing to be proud of in the way in which Esau conquered the earth. Let's get that precept, right? Because even the scriptures tells you exactly, The scripture not only tells you, right, it gives you it shows you exactly how Esau conquered the earth, right? There's no pride to be had in the way in which Esau conquered the earth, but you still see these Edomites, man. This is how you know that Esau Edom is a demon, right? You still see these Edomites still come out and puff up their chest, act like they are supposed to do that, act like they did some great thing, right? Like they they did some great thing on the earth when they took over the nations and they got up in power. But what they don't realize is that the reason why these devils are in rulership is because of because of prophecy, and that the will of the Most High, Yahweh Sham Shai, was needed to be done. So we'll start from getting this precept right here. I believe that is the book of Ecclesiasticus, right? Through unrighteous dealings and injuries gotten by deceit, the kingdom is translated, right? Translated.
Yo, bro, where are you going to? What's my girlfriend's house? I just missed my boss. Do you know you can order a ride from
So
drive, right?
let's get
I'm not even
that.
the millionaire yet. I don't have my own driver.
So this is the
Wow,
book of
you don't know what to
Ecclesiasticus
drive.
10 verse 8.
You can actually set
Because
your
of
own
unrighteous
price for a ride,
dealings,
even if you have
injuries,
less
and
than
riches
2,000
got
naira.
by deceit,
Wow. How is that even possible?
the kingdom
You
is
just put that
translated
your
from one
address,
people
then
to
put a
another.
rate that
That's
you
exactly
can
how
give for a
Esau
ride, and
Edom
wait
came into
until
power.
drivers
Not
agree
only
to
the
your
rape,
price.
robbery,
It's
and
fair
murder,
for
but of course
everyone.
is still
If you
going
save
into that
money
as
over
well.
time.
Unrighteous
Wow, is that
dealings,
easy?
injuries,
Alright,
and
so this
riches
is
got by deceit, and of course the most important factor, right? The
Yo, bro,
curses coming
where are
upon
you
our
going to?
people
What's my
for
girlfriend's
our
house? I just missed my
disobedience,
boss.
for our
Do you know
going
you can
off
order
against
a
the
ride
Most
from
High,
InDrive,
Yahweh
right?
Sham
I'm not even
Shai,
the millionaire
and that's
yet.
how
I don't
these
have my own
devils
driver.
managed to
Wow, you don't know what
get
to
into
drive.
power,
You
get
can
into
actually set your own
rulership,
price
and
for a
also
ride,
manage
even
to
if you have less than
destroy
2,000
our
naira.
people,
Wow,
right?
how is that even
Because
possible?
the
You
state that
just
you
enter
see
your
the
address, then
Israelites,
put
the
a rate
so-called
that you can
Negroes,
give for a ride, and
Latinos,
wait
and Native
until
American
drivers agree
Indians
to
in
your
currently
price.
on the
It's
earth,
fair for
it
everyone.
is a
If you save
destroyed
money on
state,
time.
right?
Wow,
Our
this is that
people
easy.
are destroyed, and
I
that's
know
the
this guy
current
already.
state of our people in this kingdom. Okay, so let's
Yo, bro,
go back to
where are
the
you
video
going
and see
to?
what
What's my
else
girlfriend's
he has to say.
It is one of the great triumphs of all time that our forefathers had to first conquer an ocean in order to then land on a giant mass of uncharted wilderness filled with untold dangers and wild beasts, and yes, primitive warring tribes, many of whom practiced human sacrifice and cannibalism, and who, if they captured you, would torture you for fun and rape your wife and children before.
And this is where you see that mouthwash begins to project, because the first thing he says, right, the first lie he gives is that, well, the ancestors of the Europeans, which is false, like his ancestors, conquered the sea, which is false, because ultimately the seafaring technology that Esau used to go from the Spain to the Americas, basically Christopher Columbus, was built by the Moors. So that was Jake that actually built the technology to actually sail the seas. And let's not forget the translators that he had with him, that ultimately, not only guided him to the Americas, but when they got there, he had Hebrew interpreters, which were also Jake, to be able to communicate with the locals, to make it all the more easier to practice their rape, robbery, and murder. Right? So we start off from there. So they came into already discovered and civilized territory, right? But you already know how the papal bulls work. And if you know about the history of the papal bulls or the story of the papal bulls, basically any non-Christian, non-Catholic human was considered, any non-Christian, non-Catholic land was considered uninhabited, regardless of if it was regardless of whether it had human inhabitants on it or not, because at that time, right, non-Catholic, especially non-Catholic and especially non-Edomite people were considered cattle. And that's where you get that whole 3/5 of a man thing coming a few hundred years later in American law, right? But basically any non-Catholic, non-Edomite was considered cattle. So the idea was that, yeah, Christopher Columbus discovered America, because the Jakes that were in America at the time weren't really humans, so they don't count as people inhabiting land. But of course, mouthwash won't add that part because Esau always has to sensationalize his own history in order to make it seem as though they are such a great and powerful conquering nation, which of course, is not the case because these are the basest of men. So let's keep playing the video.
Massive, uncharted wilderness filled with untold dangers and wild beasts, and yes, primitive warring tribes, many of whom practice human sacrifice.
And yeah, let's then also get this as well because you find out that Jake, Jake, even though Jake was going off, man, Jake was never primitive. Okay, let's clear that up real quick. Even though Jake was going off, Jake was never primitive. So let's do this. Did the Aztecs have, and let's just show, right? Did the Aztecs have written language? Of course they did. Metal weapons, they did as well, right? They had goldsmithing. They had also, right, street lights and aqueducts. Okay. Alright, so let's check it out. So yeah, basically what you find out is that the Aztecs, right, the Mayans, the Incas, and all these other the Northern Kingdom tribes that built cities in the Americas, they ultimately had very advanced technology and even skills, right, and invented many things that are even used today. Like for example, I found that tomato paste actually came from Mexico, right, from the Aztecs. So yeah, the Aztecs, they had street lights. They also had aqueducts, which is basically a drainage and water supply system. So everything that Mouthwash says here, especially at this part concerning the Europeans discovering primitive people, is actually a projection because the only primitive people, right, are Esau, Edom. And let's get that precept that's in the book of Job. So let's go to that. And that's why I'm calling it a projection. Let's go to that in the book of Job. I believe that should be Job 30, right?
Do you know you can order a ride from InDrive, right? I'm not even the millionaire yet. I don't have my own driver.
So here it is. So this is the book of Job 30 verse 1.
You can actually set your own
But
price
now
for
they
a
that are
ride.
younger than
Even
I
if you
have me
less
in
than
derision,
50,000 naira.
whose fathers I
Wow.
would
How
have
is that even
disdained to have
possible?
set
You
the
just
dogs
enter
of
your
my flock.
address, then put
Yea,
the rate
whereto
that you
might
can
the
bid for a
strength of
ride,
their
and
hands
wait
profit
until
me,
drivers
in
agrees to
whom
your
old
price.
age was
It's fair
perished.
for everyone.
For
You
want and
save
famine
money
they were
and time.
solitary,
Wow.
fleeing
That
into
easy.
the wilderness in
Oh,
former
by the
times, desolate and waste, who cut up mallows by the bushes and juniper roots for their meat. And of course, this is referring to Esau, Edom, right? So basically, you had these Edomites in their, I want to say, true state, okay, being the basest of men. And the main reason why these Europeans even managed to, right, these Edomites, like not Europeans, but the reason why these Edomites even managed to be able to conquer the earth is because not only was the Most High, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, right, helping, Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, raising them up and putting the spirit on them to conquer the earth, right? Whether it was during the time of Alexander the Greek, or that was during the time of the Romans, or even going into the Renaissance, which is the rebirth. Okay, but also because you had Jake, which is the Moors, basically
Complicated transfer processes.
take over and
Worried your
civilize
transfer
Esau. So
High
who
transfer
taught
fees
the
stressing you
Edomites
out?
to bathe,
Don't
to
worry,
use
that
soap,
okay.
right?
Zero fees,
Math,
100% success,
science and
instant
math,
transfer.
science and
Software
technology
makes it
that
easy.
Esau is now sitting here claiming
Today
to be
only. Sign
the
up now and
progenitors
enjoy a
of, or
100%
claiming that
airtime discount.
math
Download
and
Opay
science and
today.
all that came
Simple
from
transfers,
Europe
zero
and
fees,
Edomites. That
100%
was the
success.
Moors that
Download
taught
now.
them all that. And eventually, Esau came into power, and the reason why Esau came into power was because the Moors at the time, which were Israelites, of course, allowed Esau to grow in power in their kingdoms, right? So they started giving Edomites more influence and more control. And eventually Esau took over, which makes me think of a precept that should be the book of Ecclesiasticus, I think that's chapter 12, verse 10. So this is the book of Ecclesiasticus 12, verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as if thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust hath not been altogether wiped away. Right. And basically, you can't trust Esau Edom because he is the wicked, and he will eventually show his wickedness and show his evil ways, which is exactly what Esau Edom did to our people. So once Esau came into power, basically that is when you begin to see the doctrine of discovery, right? The conquistadors starts taking off, Christopher Columbus, the discovery of the Americas, and then the triangular slave trade, the transatlantic slave trade, and then Esau's wickedness continuing on till this day, to the point where you have the descendants of Esau coming out here talking about some, oh well, we actually civilized the world, which is a lie. You are all savages. That's projection. They were the savages and they still are the savages. All right, so let's continue what he going into what he was saying.
And cannibalism, and who, if they captured you, would torture you for fun and rape your wife and children before killing you and eating your internal organs.
And he mentioned cannibalism, which once again projection, because Esau Edom, they were the cannibals, right? You can read books going into this about how Esau during the transatlantic slave trade would eat Jake, the delectable Negro, for example, or how during the Victorian era, right, you had Edomites that would eat the Egyptian mummies, okay, which are Hamites, of course, but that still counts towards cannibalism, okay. And and I'm using modern examples. I haven't even gone back in history, which of course that Esau were eating their, digging up digging up the graves of their ancestors and eating them, using their ancestors' bones as utensils in order to eat foods, because that is how much of a savage Esau is. And he's talking about let's just play the video.
And taking your family as their property, and yet in tribe, many of whom practice human sacrifice and cannibalism, and who, if they captured you, would torture you for fun and rape your wife and children before killing you, maybe eating your internal organs, and taking your family as their property. And yet in the face of those unimaginable...
I don't think I need to explain everything else that he mentioned, right? Raping your wife and your children and taking your family into captivity, right, as taking your family hostage as slaves. I don't think I need to even give you examples of that much, because the history of the treatment of our people under the rule of Esau Edom, right, the history of our people under colonization, under the transatlantic slave trade, is too broad and well documented, for me to have to start going into all this stuff, man. But like I said, Esau is projecting everything that Matt Walsh here is saying, that the natives of America, because that's really where he's referring to right now. The natives of America were doing all these things to the white people, the innocent, good white people, right? So they've changed the story now. It's no longer Pocahontas, right? And the Pilgrims first came to America and they were all, sitting out on the fire, sharing foods, and that's why you have Thanksgiving. Now it is, you should have seen it, bro. My ancestors came here and all they saw were savages. They were just eating each other and they tried to eat my ancestors too. If those brave men hadn't come and conquered this land, they would not have brought civilization. They would not have brought peace, and they would not have built the greatest civilization and the greatest empire ever lived. And that's basically what Matt Walsh is trying to say here, which is of course lies and projection, which is exactly what all of history according to Esau is. Let's keep playing.
Our forefathers and ancestors conquered this entire hemisphere and settled it and single-handedly dragged it out of the Stone Age and built from the wilderness the greatest civilization the world had ever known. Am I proud of that? Yes, I am.
And of course, all of that was a lie. Talking about how they dragged it out of the Stone Age, when in reality, Jake was already in the Iron Age, right? Jake was already in the Iron Age. There is not really any arguing that. Hell, you can even look into the history about how the Industrial Revolution was basically fueled by Jamaicans which is Benjamin, and their metallurgy process, right? I think it was stainless steel. Their process of crafting stainless steel, right? You can, well, you know what? This is all just going to this is already well documented, but all these things I'm talking about is already well documented. But of course, Esau Edom is the devil, which the Bible speaks of, and the devil is a lie. Let's get that precept. John 8 verse 44. That's all I can really say concerning Mouthwash right here, because Mouthwash is an Edomite true and true. Okay, he's shown his horns and shown his wickedness. And hey, you know what they say in the world, that if somebody shows you who they are, believe them. He has shown right now without a single reasonable doubt, right? Without a reasonable doubt, without reasonable doubt that he is an Edomite. He is a prime example of an Edomite. So John 8 verse 44. Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it, right? So all you hear in this video, all you hear in Mouthwash's videos are lies, projections, and deflections, right? In order to, because even he knows, right? And all these Edomites as well know that ultimately they are going to have to pay for everything that they have done, right? Because you see, they put up this proud persona, like, oh yeah, and Mouthwash is one of those few Edomites that actually put up that proud persona, like, oh yeah, our people did what we did, right? But rather than go into the true history and say exactly what they did, Mouthwash is trying to whitewash his people's evil history, right? Of rape, robbery, murder, of stealing, killing, and destroying, of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, by saying that, the world needed the Edomite man to come and bring civilization, and to come and take it out of the Stone Age, and to come and spread the glory of the Edomites to the earth, which is of course false, because that the only thing that Esau spread throughout the whole earth, aside from disease, is wickedness. So we play on.
Now, the natives lived in the Americas for 20,000 years. And this is something that the left and the people who hate this country like to bring up all the time. Well, they were here for so long. Yeah, they were here for a long.
Another one of the lies that are being pushed, right, by pseudoscience or modern science, which of course we know that the world is not even up to 20,000 years old, okay? And we know that the Jake that is in the Northern Kingdom, right, the quote-unquote so-called natives actually did come here during the time of the Assyrian captivity under the Assyrians.
A long time. What did they do in that time?
So yeah, that's all I really wanted to play. Just wanted you guys to hear. You are Cam, you are Quat. Just wanted to let you hear what the devil actually sounds like, okay? And you heard this right here. So with that, I think I'll end the video right here. Once again, all praises, honor, and glory unto the Most High. Yahweh Basham Yahashai Basham Rakakwadash. Wa abad babal, and through the Spirit of Yakim and you are quite edified. Shalom.